A 15-year-old girl vanished from a quiet California town. A year later, her body is discovered in the front trunk of a Tesla that belongs to a rising music star with their key thrown in the gutter. How did Celeste Rivas Hernandez end up so far from home, hidden in a car that sat for weeks, and why were there so many missed warning signs before that? Today, we're going to cut through the rumors and headlines to lay out a timeline from Celeste's first missing persons report to the day that the car was towed. We're going to talk about what's been confirmed and what's been discovered so far. Plus, we're going to get into how we know Celeste was not pregnant. So you're definitely going to want to stick it out for the end of this video for some current updates. Welcome to the True Crime Nurse, everybody. My name is Kat, and I'm a registered nurse who loves all things nursing and true crime. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below any case suggestions that you have, and I will be sure to take a look at them. All right, everyone, let's get into today's case. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was a 14-year-old girl from Lake Elsinore, California, which is a city about 70 to 75 miles southeast of Los Angeles. She was born on September 7th, 2010, and she had turned 15 just one day before her body was discovered in September 2025, meaning that she passed away prior to her 15th birthday. She was described by loved ones as a beloved daughter, cousin, and friend, and Celeste was truly cherished by her family. Celeste was in the 8th grade at the time that she first went missing in 2024. According to Riverside County Sheriff's Office, her family had reported her missing at least 3 separate times from 2024 alone from their home. Celeste had a history of running away for periods of time, but she always returned or was found. Residents in her area knew that she had run away before, but the exact reason as to why hasn't been publicly shared, so I don't want to speculate or perpetuate any rumors on that. Despite any family or personal challenges that may have contributed to that behavior, those who knew Celeste cared deeply about her well-being. Every time she went missing, her loved ones tried desperately to bring her home. In fact, one missing persons flyer described her as a vulnerable teen and urged anyone with information to please come forward. The last known missing persons report for Celeste was done on April 5th, 2024, according to her family. At that time, Celeste was just 13 years old. This would turn out to be the final disappearance from which she would never return, or so we thought. Until the discovery in the Tesla, Celeste's family had no idea where she was or what happened to her. I do want to add that I actually just saw a video on the Daily Tea that came out several months after her final disappearance where Celeste was arguing with people on September 8th, 2024. So if the family is claiming that the last time they saw her was in April and they have Nest camera footage of her arguing with people on their property on September 8th, that's a significant update and discrepancy. I'm hoping that we get some more clarification on this in the media soon because that's very concerning. The hope that Celeste would return home safely was shattered in September 2025 when the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner identified the remains found in the impounded car as Celeste. Even before official confirmation, Celeste's mother had a gut feeling when the police described the body's distinctive tattoo, the word "shh" on the right index finger, and Celeste's mother recognized it as matching her daughter's tattoo. Celeste had a small shush tattoo on her finger. This information was a heartbreaking clue that allowed her family to realize the awful truth even before DNA or dental records confirmed the identity of the remains. Some describe Celeste as quiet and shy, which was similar to the personality of the young singer that she would end up being associated with. Despite being shy, we know she acquired fake IDs at some point, which allowed her to pass as an adult and attend 18 to 21-year-old venues where minors were not allowed. I understand that teenagers are curious and we all wanted to grow up too quickly, but what exactly led to Celeste obtaining these IDs? David Anthony Burke, known professionally as D4VD, pronounced David, is a singer-songwriter who became famous in his late teen years. Born on March 28, 2005, David spent his early childhood in Queens, New York, then moved to Houston, Texas with his family about the age of 13. Growing up in Houston, David had no musical training or industry connections. In fact, his first passion was actually video gaming and streaming. As a young teenager, he streamed himself playing games like Fortnite and others to build up a following on both YouTube and Twitch. David's pivot into music actually came by accident. In 2021, as a high schooler, he encountered copyright issues while he was streaming his games in the background, and so of course YouTube and Twitch flagged them. This is the same issue that anyone, myself included, runs into when you post on YouTube or any other platform with copyrighted music. Frustrated that he could no longer post videos with music, he vented to his mom. His mom told him to stop complaining and try creating music for himself. David then began recording simple tracks in his sister's closet in Houston. What happened next is something that he could have only dreamt of. David recorded a moody song called Romantic Homicide in 2022 and posted it online. The track went viral on TikTok, and I'm sure that many of us here have heard it. I would share it if I could, but Romantic Homicide climbed the charts, eventually peaking at number 4 on the Billboard's chart and had hundreds of millions of streams initially. His follow-up single, Here With Me, exploded, and each song actually surpassed 1.5 billion streams on Spotify. This is a massive accomplishment for someone that had no interest whatsoever in the music industry. By age 17, David landed a major record deal with a label called Interscope Records. His style blends indie, alternative, and R&B with dark themes. Despite the violent and tragic themes in his music and videos like funerals and dragging a dead body to a car, he cultivated an image as a very introverted, gentle young man. Friends described him as very shy and quiet, which is far from being a flashy celebrity. In April 2025, David released his first full-length album and embarked on a major world tour to promote it. Outside of music, not much has been known publicly about David's personal life because he's very private. He moved out of his family home in Houston as his career took off, spending time in Los Angeles to collaborate and record, and in 2025, David began renting a home in the Hollywood Hills along with his manager Josh. This $20,000 per month rental would later become a focal point in the police investigation after Celeste's body was found. One of the most important questions in this case is, how did Celeste Rivas Hernandez and David Burke know each other? It seems impossible for a 14-year-old girl from a different city end up dead in a celebrity's car without some previous connection. While the LAPD has shared a few details here and there about their relationship, substantial evidence from various sources indicate that Celeste and David did know each other and likely had been personally involved for quite some time. In a viral TikTok video, a former teacher of Celeste actually shared what he knew. Back when Celeste was a student at Lakeland Village Middle School in Lake Elsinore, she had mentioned meeting a guy on social media that was also a rapper in LA, and she said she ran away to be with him. The teacher said, quote, "He came and got her. She ran away from home. She was gone for like a month, and then the cops found her in Hollywood and brought her back to our school," end quote. This strongly suggests that David, who is a rapper in LA, had been communicating with Celeste through social media and at one point in early 2024 actually went and picked her up. Celeste would have been 13 at the time and David would have been 18. If true, this paints a deeply concerning picture. The teacher's story hasn't been officially confirmed by the police, but it does align with the timeline of Celeste's missing person reports. It sounds like he's describing an incident before the final disappearance, possibly one of the earlier times that Celeste was found missing. According to that teacher, after Celeste was returned to school sometime in early 2024, she told her classmates what happened. Shortly after that, she disappeared once again in May of 2024. At that point, the teacher says that rumors among the students were that the artist David was being blackmailed by someone who knew about his involvement with a minor. This is unverified information from teenagers, but it does introduce a possible motive or twist. Did someone learn that David had a relationship with Celeste and attempt to extort him? And could that have played into Celeste's fate? We don't know yet, but I'm sure that the investigators are actively looking into this. What is clearer is that Celeste and David maintained contact even after she first returned home. Celeste's own mother has said that before her daughter went missing for the final time, Celeste mentioned that she was, quote, dating someone named David, unquote, but her mother had never met him. This suggests that Celeste was at least talking about him to people that were close to her without revealing his identity as a well-known singer. The matching shush tattoos also indicate a possible bond between them because it's not every day that two people go and get the same tattoo on the same finger. It almost seems like a secret signal or inside joke between them, but let me know your thoughts on that tattoo in the comments down below. The strongest evidence of an actual relationship comes from David's own friends and entourage. After the news broke, multiple friends of the singer spoke anonymously to TMZ and the media, expressing their shock after learning about Celeste's actual age. According to the TMZ report, David's friends frequently saw the two together and believed that the missing teen was his 19-year-old college student girlfriend. These friends genuinely thought that Celeste was around 19 and a student at USC, not a 14-year-old middle schooler. They described seeing David and Celeste at multiple age restricted places or parties where everyone present was supposed to be an adult. The friends say that they were shocked because she had been using fake IDs to pass herself off as older, and in hindsight, this really disturbed all of them. David's circle also said that Celeste was so low key around others that even those who saw them together all the time didn't really know anything about her. She was just this quiet girl that was always sitting by David's side at some events. This fits with the image of both of them being quiet personalities, but it also suggests that David wasn't flaunting her or introducing her to others, possibly to avoid questions. They kept to themselves. All of these pieces of evidence paint a picture that by mid 2024 through 2025, Celeste Rivas Hernandez was essentially living as David Burke's girlfriend under a false age and identity, and here is what we can piece together now regarding a timeline. One unverified claim from Celeste's brother is that David began contacting her on Roblox when she was 11. If true, that would date their first contact to around 2021 online when David was 16. This hasn't been confirmed by police, but it emphasizes the possibility of a long grooming period. In early 2024, when Celeste was 13 and David was 18, they arranged to meet in person for the first time, according to reports. Celeste's brother Matthew told NBCLA that the last time anyone saw Celeste, she was actually headed to go to a movie with David and didn't come home. This allegedly places David as the last known person to have planned to meet with Celeste before she vanished, and it suggests that the family had at least some awareness of David in her life, even if they didn't even know his age or his fame. In mid to late 2024, Celeste was still missing and possibly with David. The family back in Lake Elsinore were completely in the dark about it. This would also be about the time that camera clip is now circulating where Celeste is at home arguing with different people that I talked about earlier. During this period, David's music career was booming. David performed at Coachella in April 2025 and other big events. If Celeste was with him, she would have been 14 in places like Coachella. We do know that by the summer of 2025, they were frequently seen together at social events from friends' accounts and videos that are currently circulating online. By the summer of 2025, David relocated to Los Angeles, Hollywood Hills, in preparation for his tour and album release, staying at that rental house with his manager. It's very likely that Celeste was with him in LA around this time. She had nowhere else to go. She couldn't exactly go back to her family's because she'd been identified as a runaway, so it is currently theorized that she was still staying with David. Celeste was essentially off the grid, deeply tied in with David's entourage and portrayed as an adult to outside people. Meanwhile, her family anguished for over a year with no answers. On August 27, 2025, an abandoned Tesla in the Hollywood Hills, about 150 feet from David's rental, was marked and documented by a parking officer after receiving complaints from neighbors. This indicated to the officer that the Tesla wasn't moved back after marking it days prior, which then triggered him to give a ticket and count down to tow. Meanwhile, on that same date, David had a concert in Montreal, Canada, so he was thousands of miles away while his car was sitting suspiciously in LA. After the required 72 hours had elapsed without any movement, on September 3rd, the officer returned and issued a citation to the Tesla for violating that 72-hour parking rule. The car still hadn't been moved even though it had been marked. This ticket is an important timestamp. By now, the car had been idle, likely on the street for at least a week or more, and the key card was later discovered in the gutter by a neighbor. If Celeste's body was already in the trunk, which by this time seems very likely given the odor and decomposition, it had been sitting through the summer heat for quite some time. 2 days after the ticket, on September 5th, authorities towed the Tesla as an abandoned vehicle and brought it to the city tow yard in Hollywood. Still, no one had looked inside of the front trunk. The tow yard checked it in like any other vehicle. Celeste's 15th birthday passed tragically without Celeste's family knowing where she was. Unbeknownst to them, she had already been dead, and her body would be found the following day. On that day, David posted on Instagram from his tour, ironically announcing an upcoming deluxe version of his album and thanking his fans, which was one of his last social media posts before the news broke. He was scheduled to perform in Madison, Wisconsin on September 7th and was on stage in the Midwest that night. On the morning of September 8th, a tow yard employee detected a foul odor coming from the impounded Tesla and became concerned that it might be a decomposing body. The employee alerted the Los Angeles Police Department. An LAPD detective arrived and also detected the same smell of decomposition and obtained a search warrant to open the vehicle. Inside the front trunk of the Tesla, they found a black duffel bag containing human remains. The body was heavily decomposed, so much so that the remains only weighed 71 pounds or 32 kilograms. It was also reported that the body had been dismembered and wrapped in plastic bags. However, I've found differing accounts on this, so I'm sure that we're going to have clarifications here shortly after the final autopsy is released. Officers on scene described finding the possibly dismembered body wrapped inside plastic bags in the trunk. This gruesome detail, if accurate, indicates whoever hid the body took additional steps to conceal it, possibly to make it even fit in the trunk easier. The remains, being in such poor condition, did not immediately reveal identity. However, investigators did notice the small tattoo on the finger and other clues on the body to help them narrow down the identity. If Celeste died while David was physically absent on tour, it raises the possibility that someone else was involved in possibly killing and or disposing of her body while he was gone. But who all had access to his car? If she had died before he left, then he would have gone on tour knowing something terrible happened, which is also a very disturbing thought. At this stage, police have not revealed any evidence of when exactly she died or who was present. The official cause of death and manner of death remain deferred pending toxicology results. We know from previous cases that that can take months to come back. The Tesla itself was confirmed to be registered to David A. Burke with a registration address in Hempstead, Texas, possibly his family's home. This immediately tied the situation to the singer. LAPD robbery and homicide detectives took charge of the case, and according to a spokesperson, David was informed about what happened on or around September 8th while he was still on the road, and he seemed to be in shock. His representative told NBC LA that David has fully cooperated with the authorities from that point since. In the days immediately following the discovery, LAPD worked to identify the body and piece together what happened. At first, David continued with his tour obligations and he played a show in Minneapolis on September 9th and in Kansas City on September 10th. However, as the story gained social media attention and David realized the gravity, he began canceling his shows. By September 16th, he had canceled his Seattle concert that was supposed to be on the 16th, and on the 17th, he officially canceled all remaining US tour dates. European tour dates in October were also quietly paused. On the 16th, the LA County Medical Examiner publicly confirmed the identity of the body. It was Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Celeste's family in Lake Elsinore received the devastating news. The Riverside County Sheriff's Office also confirmed that this was the same juvenile who had been reported missing from Lake Elsinore back in 2024. Companies associated with David immediately began distancing themselves. For example, Crocs and Hollister, both are huge brands, they had just announced collaborations with him and dropped him within days, and his record label pulled promotional support for his music as well. During this week, David did not make any personal public statements. His social media went silent. On September 7th, 2025, LAPD detectives served a search warrant at the Hollywood Hills house where David had been staying. This house was very close, again about 150 feet to where the Tesla had been parked on Bluebird Avenue. This is also where the Tesla key card was found in the gutter a couple days later. Law enforcement sources told media that various items were seized, including a computer and other electronic devices, plus several bags of potential evidence. These likely contain things like hard drives, possibly security camera footage, personal devices, and more, which could hold major clues like communications between David and Celeste or others, or even digital evidence of the crime. A huge question we all have, though, is what about the camera footage that the Tesla would have recorded? There's also been no mention of that publicly, which I personally find shocking. The landlord of the property later spoke out, saying that just a few days after that search, David's manager informed him that they would be breaking the lease and moving out immediately. On September 24th, movers were seen hauling boxes out of the home into trucks. The landlord was shocked, saying that this news came as a complete surprise to him and claimed that he didn't even know David was the one living in his rental, but the lease might have been under his manager's name. In any case, by the end of September, David and his team had completely vacated that house, leaving Los Angeles. Do you guys find that suspicious? Let me know in the comments down below. On September 23rd, the coroner released Celeste's remains back to her family so that they could proceed with funeral arrangements. By then, her body had been held for about 2 weeks for the autopsy and evidence collection. The family scheduled funeral services coming up for October 5th, so in just a couple of days. The release of the body means that the coroner has gathered everything that they need, but the toxicology still hasn't come back, and that's why the report has been labeled deferred and not released. Something that I really want to talk about, though, is the rumor that Celeste was pregnant. According to what we know from the ME, Celeste was not pregnant within the last year, and that was a significant update from just a couple of days ago at the time that I'm recording this. For a little nursing, this is how they would know. First, the presence of a fetus in the uterus would be clear to the coroner, and the autopsy has been completed. Second, she was gone for more than a year. Some have theorized that she could have been pregnant and had the baby within that time frame. In case you don't know, the shape of the cervix actually changes in women that have experienced labor because the cervix begins round, and then after labor and it's stretching, it comes back together in a more linear shape. This never goes back once a woman has experienced labor. I've seen a lot of chatter about this online and speculation that there's no way to prove that she wasn't, but that is a physiological assessment that absolutely can rule that out. So, as of the end of September 2025, no arrests have been made and no suspect has been named, and this is causing an uproar online. David Burke remains a person of interest at most, and police have been very careful to say that he's not been named a suspect. He's kept a low profile, basically in hiding, and there have been no public statements from him personally. His career is on pause, tour canceled, collaborations are dropped, and even an Olympic figure skater removed his music from her routine due to this investigation. Some of the major takeaways from today, as I'm recording on October 1st, are that the LAPD announced that there are no official suspects as of September 29th. That does not mean that David has been ruled out in this case. Celeste was not pregnant, and we went over why we're still waiting on the ME report. I personally have so many questions regarding Celeste's family and the video that was discovered in September after being reported missing in April. Let me know what you guys are still stuck on too, so that I know it's not just me sitting here ruminating on all of this. Thank you for spending time with me today. Let me know how you're liking these bonus videos and updates in addition to our regular upload schedule. What should we call these? Don't forget our butterfly secret handshake in the chat, and please have an incredible week and stay safe out there, nurses' orders. I'll see you guys next weekend for our Halloween series. Bye.